welcome back. We're going to talk about how to destroy social resources, or how they are destroyed. So let's look at our types. If you have one-on-one relationships, like you and your brother, you and your sister, you and a friend, all those different relationships, even you and an acquaintance, right? Any relationship you have one-on-one with a person, how do you damage that relationship? Main ways you're going to damage that relationship are through not being reliable, not telling the truth, taking advantage of those relationships. You know, even if it's technically legal what you've done, most likely that won't result in very well. Those type of things, that's where you're going to hurt your one-on-one relationships. If you look at group relationships, you're going to hurt group relationships by, well, the easiest way is just to leave the group, right? If I'm on a sports team and I decide to leave that sports team, I've now destroyed that asset. I might maintain some of those relationships, they just become harder because there's not that structure for the maintenance. The next one, if I am at a company, I'll have access to a lot of people that I normally wouldn't have access to. So being in that company, I have access. As I leave that company, I've had really good friends. I just haven't talked to them. My life just changes. And we used to have this structure of every day going to work. So now that structure's gone. The relationship tends to dissipate. So leaving that company is destroying that. And then how do you hurt your reputation? Again, things like not telling the truth, taking advantage of other people. I mean, especially with social media now, you start to see this pattern of when people try to attack each other, and then you just develop or attack each other or do other things. The truth tends to come out on how you were treating people, and so if you're doing that, you could really hurt your reputation. Certain people won't hire you. I've been in discussions to hire certain people, and they've said, no, that person at their other company, we heard they did this, and therefore we're not even going to look at them. So that's one of the things. One of the non-standard things that families often do to destroy social resources, or non-obvious, I guess is a better way to put it, is they move, right? Oh, I have an opportunity to go make more money in another city. I'm going to move from, Salt Lake to New York. All of those people, the vast majority at least, there may be some that you stay in touch with, but it becomes much more of a chore to stay in touch to those people. You don't have the proximity. It's not as easy to meet face to face, which is also a much better way to do that. So as you move, even if I'm going to make $10,000 more, and maybe it is a good opportunity, maybe it's $10,000, maybe it is the right thing to do, but often you'll see people who move and destroy a whole bunch, $20,000, the equivalent of $20,000 or $50,000 in social assets for a much smaller return financially, right? The other thing you need to realize is, or you can take into account, is social assets are very important for people, for their mental health, right? We are social as humans. Everyone will say, oh, not social. We've seen that people do need to have relationships. It helps with security, this feeling of security, it helps with belonging. You'll often see, like if they move for the man's job, and then the husband's job, and then the wife is now in this new culture, new society, new area, doesn't have any friends. It's much harder for her to acclimate in some of those cases. In some cases she wants to go back and all these things, or she'll leave. So some of that can actually lead to divorce, because the man will probably move into another company. Now he's got other support, or the worker person if it was the woman as well. But the other person is going to try to reestablish relationships because all those have essentially been cut. So social relationships, moving, I think, is a very non-obvious one that people, they feel it, but until I had kind of gone through this and thought through it, they don't actually take it into account much. So be careful as you go through moving. Also be careful as you're leaving groups. Another thing, it's not about destroying social resources, I would say, but be careful which groups you join, because some of those groups can actually be a bad influence on you. Right? There's some research, like if you have a group of people who do a certain behavior like overeat, and you go hang out with them, you're probably also going to overeat. So there's some of those groups that you join, some of them be very good if you join an exercise group. but you may join an exercise group that gets really hardcore, and now they're exercising 6 days a week, and that's sucking a lot of time out of your family and whatnot. So be very careful which ones you join, because that can actually cause you to destroy other resources. And then as you leave groups, like a lot of people, it seems like religion, particularly a lot of people are leaving religion. That is one of the core groups that used to provide a lot of stability for people. So as that is going down, a lot of times people aren't thinking of how they're going to replace that, and then they end up with some mental health-ish type issues. So just be cognizant of it as you're going in, and realize that groups can be exceptionally important.